I'm aware that you've been enjoying my watch order videos, and sometimes play order videos which specifically for games. But now, I've got something fresh for the channel as we enter 2024. Hey, everyone! Welcome to another awesome video. If you're eager to dive into the Game of Thrones books, this video is your starting point. Yes, now it's time for how to read books. I'll guide you through 2 different ways, and you can choose the one that suits you the best. The first option follows the timeline, presenting the books chronologically, or you can check out the release date order for each book. George Martin, the author, wrote 5 books in the A Song of Ice and Fire series. It's a series of epic fantasy novels. He started writing the first one, Game of Thrones, in 1991. Right now, he's busy working on the next 2 books, The Winds of Winter and A Dream of Spring. The Game of Thrones series has inspired many other creations, including prequel novellas, 2 TV series, a comic book version, and various card, board, and video games. If you like having physical copies, a great way to enjoy the Game of Thrones books is by getting them as a set. There are a few available options that allow you to get all of the books at once, but the most impressive one for display is the leather-bound version. Let's move on to the chronological order, where you should begin reading. Fire and Blood, with 736 pages. It tells the history of House Targaryen. It was planned as a 2-volume release due to its size. The first came out in 2018, and its second half is now part of the HBO series House of the Dragon, Game of Thrones prequel, A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, with 860 pages. It's a set of 3 short novels, The Hedge Knight, The Sworn Sword, and The Mystery Knight. Martin plans to add more stories to the series. The story takes place about 90 years before the events in A Game of Thrones. You don't have to read it, as it's not part of the main novels and doesn't occur during the same time. A Game of Thrones, with a total of 694 pages. It's the initial book in A Song of Ice and Fire. This novel has led to various spin-off creations, such as games. Martin tells the story from different perspectives, introducing plot lines involving the noble houses of Westeros, the Wall, and the Targaryens. A Clash of Kings, with 761 pages. It's the second book out of 7 planned novels. HBO turned it into the 2nd season of the Game of Thrones TV series. Additionally, it's the title of the first expansion to the Game of Thrones board game. A Clash of Kings portrays civil war in the 7 kingdoms, Night's Watch exploring wildlings, and Daenerys Targaryen's quest to conquer. A Storm of Swords, with 973 pages, picks up the story slightly before the end of A Clash of Kings. When it came out, A Storm of Swords was the longest book in the series. It's also the title of the 2nd expansion for the board game, A Game of Thrones, as well as the 3rd season of the HBO show. The second half of the book served as the foundation for the 4th season, and certain elements were used in the 5th season of the series. A Feast for Crows, this one with 753 pages. Due to its length, A Feast for Crows was divided into 2 books, with the separation based on plot locations, resulting in 2 novels unfolding concurrently with distinct characters. It was later adapted, along with A Dance with Dragons, for the 5th season of Game of Thrones. However, parts of the novel were incorporated into the 4th and 6th seasons of the series. A Dance with Dragons gives you 1,016 pages, brings back missed characters from Feast and continues after A Storm of Swords. In certain regions, the paperback edition was split into 2 parts called Dreams and Dust, and After the Feast. It was adapted for the 5th season of Game of Thrones, with elements from the book also appearing in the 3rd, 4th, and 6th seasons of the series. Finally, The World of Ice and Fire, with 326 pages, the untold history of Westeros and the Game of Thrones. A great coffee table book with illustrations and a deep history of Martin's world, spanning back 12,000 years before the events of A Game of Thrones. Guys, we're done with the timeline order, and by the way, there are other upcoming Game of Thrones books. There is the Winds of Winter book that will differ more from the TV series, and Martin, now 75% done, predicts it'll be over 1,500 pages, though progress has been slow. There is also A Dream of Spring book, which is expected to be the 7th and final novel in the A Song of Ice and Fire series. It is set to take place after the events of The Winds of Winter. There will be Fire and Blood Volume 2 as well. The author has also expressed his desire to write additional Dunk and Egg novellas. Now, let's move on to the release date order, and all you need to do here is stop the video and take notes. Thanks for watching, guys. If you have questions or recommendations, drop a comment. Don't forget to subscribe for more amazing content. See you next time.